I don't know about you. I always seem to be in need of some quick cards. And today we're going to create eight cards. Guys, these come together so incredibly fast. You're going to love the ease of these. I'm going to walk you through step by step. Hello and welcome everybody. My name's Connie Stewart with simplysimplestamping.com. I'm so glad you're joining me for today's Tuesday tip video because today we're going to be creating 8 cards in mere minutes. We're going to be featuring the Loveliest Tree bundle, and I've got a great cutting technique where we're going to be able to make these cards like that. So, are you ready to head over to the stamping table and get started? Great. Let me share what we're going to create today. So friends, this is really all you need to get started. I have an 8.5 by 11 of crumb cake, an 8 by 10 of Very Vanilla, and then I have 8 card bases. These are 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4, also in Very Vanilla, and some linen thread. Don't worry about writing down any of those measurements. You're going to have a download available for today's project. So you'll have my supply list, the measurements, everything that you see here. In fact, if you need to come back and watch the video again, scan or click the QR code. You can do that. And we are going to be featuring the Loveliest Tree bundle. And that's a brand new one. And friends, if you are in the United States, I would love to be your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. So any of the Stampin' Up! Products I used, you can just click this graphic right here and you'll see everything that I used. You notice it's a very small supply list, kind of like that, right? All right, well, we are ready to jump in. So I'm going to put my 8 card bases aside for now. We're going to work on these 2 pieces. I love to make things easy for everybody, so I also have a diagram to help you do your cutting so that you'll get 8 equal pieces. And those 8 pieces, we like to call them flashcards around here, and those pieces will be used to create our 8 cards. Let me bring in my paper trimmer and my 8 by 10 Very Vanilla, and let's go ahead and look at the diagram. And it tells us here with the 8 inches up at the top, cut to 4 by 10. That's going to give us 2 equal pieces. I'm going to put both of those together, all right, because my paper trimmer cuts through 2 of this Very Vanilla cardstock very easily. I'm going to mark that at the 2.5 inches, so I've got the 10 inches up at the top. We will cut 2 at 2.5, another set at 2.5, and another set at 2.5, which will leave us 2.5. That gives us 8 equal pieces of Very Vanilla. So now with the crumb cake, we're going to follow the next part of the diagram, which we're going to cut it in half at 4 1/4 by 11, and then we're going to cut 8 equal pieces, 2 3/4. So there is our 4 1/4. We'll put both of those together, and now we will cut through both of those at 2 3/4. So these are going to make perfect layers for our Very Vanilla that we just cut. My cards today are going to feature the Loveliest Tree bundle. I love this one. I think it's a gorgeous card, especially great for these masculine cards we're going to create today, but they can also make great feminine cards as well. But we're going to be using the die from the bundle. I'm going to begin with an early espresso ink pad. And friends, this is so easy. We're going to take that great big tree and I'm going to stamp it right in the center of each one of my crumb cake pieces. And remember, those were 2 3/4 by 4 1/4. I'm now going to bring in a Mossy Meadow ink pad and a blending brush. I've also got a little piece of scratch paper here because I'm going to take my blending brush and I'm just going to tap it on my ink pad a few times, and then I'm going to kind of get see how you get that strong, blob of ink? I want to avoid that. And now that I've kind of got that off, I'm going to lightly blend this Mossy Meadow all over my tree. I'm going outside the lines. That is perfectly fine because we're going to be die cutting this. I'm going to repeat that with all of my trees, all right? So I have 8 trees stamped on my crumb cake, and I will now do my blending brush work here with 8 trees. let's do some die cutting. I'm going to use my mini machine for this one. So I've got base plate 1, cutting plate 2. I'm going to lay my die and my cardstock there. I'm going to top it with another cutting plate 2. Let's run that through. And we now have a die cut tree. Now, this doesn't look very nice, right? Don't worry, we're going to use it, but we're going to flip it over. I have all of my trees die cut. So now let's bring in all the very vanilla cardstock, and we're going to do some more creating with the stamp set, and we're going to create 2 cards of each, 2 congratulations, 2 thank you, 2 sympathy, and 2 birthday. We're going to do that with our early espresso ink pad. So I'm going to start here with the happy birthday, and I'm just going to stamp that up here at the top. So let me set those aside. We're going to repeat that here with the sympathy. Now for the thank you, it's a tiny little thank you. So I'm actually going to bring it way down. We're going to add our linen thread up there at the top. And now our last one will be a congratulations. And with that, we're ready to put some cards together. Let's start with a thank you card. So I'm going to add some adhesive to the back of my card. Remember, this is where we sponged, and we're going to flip that over. So that will be on the back. No one will ever see that. But this is what I love about this flashcard system. So we have no waste because we got our tree from behind that piece of cardstock. We used 1 full sheet of 8.5 by 11. We're ready to bring in that linen thread. Now, I've got a little tip I love to share. This is one of my favorite tips when I'm working with ribbon, or especially when I'm working with linen thread or baker's twine. I like to take a mini glue dot and roll it into a tiny ball. I'm going to put it right here on the edge of the very vanilla. So I'm going to take my linen thread. I've wrapped that around the back, and now I'm just going to take where that mini glue dot is, and you notice I'm pulling up and down. That part is important. I'm going to press that linen thread, and look, now I'm not going to fight with it as I try to tie this in a bow. Again, one of my favorite tips for ribbon, for thread, for baker's twine. I mean, it really is a lifesaver. All right, so we're going to create ourselves just a nice little bow here on the side. You notice I leave my linen thread on the spool because it's just easier to work with, and I have less waste that way. All right, so there's my sweet little thank you. As I add my adhesive on the back, I am going to go right over that linen thread. It's just an extra security. So for this one, let's see, I think I'm going to put it down here in the bottom right corner. So I'm kind of lining it up here and here. Guys, this is the part where you can get creative. You can add these anywhere you want. Let's take one of our trees, and we're going to add this with Stampin' Dimensionals. Now, I've got the regular size ones here, but I am going to need one little mini guy right down here on the trunk. I've removed those backings, and now we can add our tree right here. And there's a beautiful little leaf stamp. So if you wanted to add a little more stamping here on the inside, I'm just simply going to add my thank you right down there just to give it something a little extra. Beautiful, simplistic, clean, crisp. I love that. Don't forget to head over to simplysimplestamping.com to get your free download that goes along with today's video. When you're ready to recreate these cards, this little download is going to make it so easy. You'll have the measurements, the diagram, the photos, everything will be right here at your fingertips. Friends, you'll find it at simplysimplestamping.com, or if you look down in the YouTube description, I've got a direct link for you. All right, now let's do a congratulations. So again, we're going to cover that up. Now I'm going to put a little adhesive right here and come back in with my linen thread, and I'm going to press that into that adhesive. Now I'm going to kind of eyeball this, but I'm going to put 3 strips of my linen thread, kind of spacing them out a little bit. come back around, press that into the adhesive, and then I can trim that away. I'm going to add a little extra adhesive here on top of that thread. I don't want it to cut loose. You could also add a little Scotch tape if you were really concerned about it. Let's see, for this one, I think I'm going to go all the way over here on the left side. Another tree that can go right there. Coming back in with my early espresso, and let's add one of our little leafy images right there. I think that looks really nice. If you'd like, you could add another little congratulations there to the inside. For my sympathy card, I'll add this one here in the bottom right corner. I've got my dimensionals on my tree. Let's add that here. Back in with the linen thread, and we're going to do this on the inside of the card. I've got my little rolled up mini glue dot. We're going to put that right there. We'll come back in with our leaf image and our sympathy sentiment. And you're simply going to repeat that with your other pieces. So guys, they are very easy to create. Now I have a little bonus tip for you. So these, of course, like I said, clean, simple cards. Let's say you wanted to add just a little bit. So for this card, I've taken my cards and I've added a piece of early espresso on the back. It just kind of brightens it up. You also notice I did a little bit more of the blending brush work. So that was an optional thing. But if you want to create this card and have this optional back piece, let me show you how to do that. So the main change is going to be here in the card base. This is a 5 1/4 by 8 scored at 4 inches. And then I'm layering that on a piece of early espresso that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And again, I just simply layered those together to create the card, and it just kind of gives it a little more depth. So that is a second option for creating the cards. If you just feel like you want to step it up, sometimes people prefer just that little more color. Either way, you're going to have a great card that will fit perfectly in a medium-sized envelope. And there you go, my friends. That's how easy it is to create 8 cards like that. These are going to make a great little gift for somebody. You've got all occasions here, and they come together so quickly. The Loveliest Tree bundle. Fabulous bundle. Highly recommend. Go create some of these quick and easy flashcards today, my friends. Thank you all so much for being here today. I hope that you enjoyed those cards. If you did, give me a thumbs up on YouTube. I always appreciate that. And if you have not subscribed, hey, just click that subscribe button, ring the bell. YouTube will let you know whenever I'm back with another video, and I'd love to have you join in. That's all for me, everybody. Make it a fantastic day. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.